Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I want to talk to you about weapon variants in Infinite Warfare. In case you haven't heard, weapon variants are returning to Infinite Warfare. Activision flew me out to LA to get some early gameplay, which you're watching right now is the map Throwback, and unfortunately none of the weapon variants are going to be in this game because we only had the base variants to play with. We only had the regular, common base version of the weapons available. So the weapons are kind of like AW variants, except maybe even more variable, if that's the right word. A variant will have slightly different statistics than the base model. It could have different range, different damage, different rate of fire, different recoil, a pattern that you're very used to seeing in Advanced Warfare. However, rarer variants will radically change the weapon. You can change it from an energy weapon to a ballistic weapon, or maybe a ballistic weapon will have an energy variant, or vice versa. They can occasionally change from fully automatic to burst to semi, or the fire rate changes, and often very huge cosmetic changes to the model as well for the very rare or epic variants. I saw some, they get extra, not functional attachments, but cosmetic attachments, massive skin overhauls, rare textures, rare paint jobs, pink. We'll talk about the pink weapon in a little bit. And there are 4 current tiers of rarity. We have common, which I'm guessing is the base variant of the weapon, or maybe a few of the other less interesting ones. There's uncommon, and then there's rare, and then finally we have the epic variants of the weapons. Now, common variants have no what we're going to call gun perks attached to them. However, uncommon can have 1, rare can have 2 gun perks, and epic can have 2 really good gun perks. And you're going to ask me, what in the hell is a gun perk? Well, the easiest way to think about a gun perk is to think of it kind of like a Modern Warfare 3 proficiency, or maybe kind of like the additional perks or benefits you would get on your Destiny weapons. As for what these proficiencies and built-in perks do, some of them are kind of like passives, some of them are traits, kind of like on the rigs, and some of them can be pretty insane, like the Nuke. And yes, you heard me correctly, the Nuke is attached to epic weapon variants. You can get the Nuke only after you get 25 kills in a row with that gun, and only with that particular gun. That gun has to have the Nuke gun perk attached to it. So you're going to have to put in a lot of work. You're going to have to get the Scavenger perk, which is only available to 1 of the rigs, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of work right there, and during the press briefing, they very quickly went over all of these proficiencies and perks, and I was not able to write them down. However, I did see one on a submachine gun, and I hope I'm not saying this wrong, but I swear to God, it said extra damage to the groin, and it was a pink SMG with a bunch of silly stuff on it. And the only thing, I mean, it was really fast, but I'm pretty sure it said extra damage to the groin, and all I could think was, oh my God, they made a dick shot submachine gun that you can unlock. You can shoot people in the dicks with this SMG and do extra damage, which I think personally would be kind of fun, but it is a little bit silly. And speaking of fun and silly, this is an obvious supply drop type problem here, because supply drops or something similar are going to have to come back in order to give players these variants or unlike them. And we had advanced supply drops in Advanced Warfare, we had the black market in Black Ops 3, we pretty much all knew that something like that was coming for Infinite Warfare, and it's going to be some kind of drop system that grants these weapons. I'm going to bet it's similar to Black Ops 3 with the dual currency of some kind, currency you get in-game and then whatever you spend actual money on. However, we also know that you can grind your weapons down into parts. You take them apart and you break them down and you salvage rare or unusual parts of these weapons, and you use those parts to build toward a specific weapon. So let's say that you want the dick shot submachine gun. That's the one you want. You really want to shoot people in their dicks, but you haven't got it in any supply drops and you don't want to spend real money. Well, you can break apart your other variants, you can grind them down into their core parts, and once you have enough saved up, you can purchase or build this submachine gun directly, which is a much better way to get it versus the random system in Black Ops 3. So thank goodness for that. That means no crates are going to be required. That means you don't have to spend real money to unlock anything. You can always unlock a gun if you put enough time into it. But speaking of time, I would bet that it takes a significant amount of time to do that. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that you're not going to be able to do that very quickly, because that would be counterintuitive to the business model. So based on this information and these facts, there are some things that I do actually like about it. Number one, the variants look cool as hell. I'm giving it mad props to the weapon design team. Almost every single one of these weapons looks really cool. The variants look even cooler. They've got fun sounds, fun camos, fun paint jobs. Ton of variety in the game, a ton of neat stuff you can do with the weapons, and that's the two good things. However, there's also three major bad things that I don't like about this. When you introduce gun variants, you can cause balance issues, kind of like Advanced Warfare with the EM1 Poner. You had the Bal Obsidian Steed being really awesome. You had the ASM1 Speakeasy. Some of these weapons, if you think about it, let's say even if you only have like 5 variants for each weapon, which probably isn't the case, you probably have a lot more. That means 5 times 50 is 150 weapons, which means there's 150 total things to balance, and it's very easy for one of those things to get out of balance and cause an unpleasant experience for the community. It's much easier to balance 50 than it is 150. Next thing is that there's no way to know about the gun perks a person might have. So when you see a person with a gun, there's no way to know what tier or variant of weapon that they have or what gun perk they might have equipped. In some sense, it's kind of like you don't know what perks they have to begin with or what attachments they have on the weapons, so there's some fairness there. But typically with, I guess I'm going back to other Call of Duty games, you could see the perks that people would have equipped based on their character model. Snipers looked a certain way, people that ran Flak Jacket looked a certain way, and with the specialist, each one has a unique look, so you can kind of know what to be expecting. With gun perks, you're not going to know what that person is packing until after they've already killed you, and then you can see the variant, and then you get an idea of it, so that could potentially be frustrating. Also, this is going to shift influence to supply drops yet again, because the variants that you earn are directly going to affect your gameplay for better or for worse, and the same for your enemies, and I think that's going to make supply drop guns even more important, which is obviously not a good thing for our game. I guess it won't be important if they're perfectly balanced, but it's difficult to balance that many things. I'm worried. Like, there's some cool stuff going on here. It looks cool. Some of these are fun to use, but some of them could inherently be broken, and I hope the guys at Infinity Ward take their time to do a lot of good balancing and make sure that these systems are fair and rewarding for the players. Guys, that's all for this short video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.